You watch the team sheet, your name isn't there. Again. And the player who got picked instead, slower than you, less technical than you, worse finisher, worse dribbler. Maybe you've even beaten him in every training drill for months. So you sit there thinking, how is he playing and I'm not? Most footballers answer that question with one word: politics, favorites, bias, bad coaching. And sometimes those things exist. But here's the painful truth. Most players who believe they're being overlooked never actually understand what coaches are selecting for. Because coaches are not choosing the best footballer. They're choosing the safest solution to a football problem. And until you understand that difference, you'll keep losing places to players you believe are worse than you. Let's break down why. When players compare themselves to teammates, they usually compare visible skills. Speed, shooting, passing, dribbling, skills, goals, highlights. But coaches don't experience football the way players do. Players see moments. Coaches see patterns. A player thinks, I scored 2 goals today. A coach thinks, you lost possession 8 times trying things that weren't on. A player thinks, I beat 3 defenders. A coach thinks, you ignored a simple pass that would have created a better chance. A player thinks, I'm more talented. A coach thinks, can I trust you for 90 minutes? That single difference changes everything. Because selection isn't usually about who can produce the highest peak. It's often about who can deliver the most reliable performance. And that's where many talented players accidentally lose. The biggest selection mistake players make is believing coaches reward talent first. Most coaches reward predictability first. Think about it. Imagine you're coaching a crucial match. Would you rather choose player A, amazing on his best day, invisible on his worst day, or player B, never spectacular, but consistently gives you a solid 7 out of 10 every match? Most coaches choose player B, not because he's better, because he's easier to trust. Trust is the hidden currency of football selection. And many players never realize they're spending theirs badly. Every late arrival, every lazy recovery run, every emotional reaction, every tactical mistake, every time you stop tracking back, every time you complain after losing the ball, you're making withdrawals from your trust account. Then when team selection arrives, you wonder why somebody else got picked. The coach isn't only evaluating talent, he's evaluating risk. Lesson 1, coaches select problems, not players. This is one of the most important concepts you'll ever understand. Coaches don't wake up thinking, who is my most talented player? They think, how do I solve today's football problem? Maybe the opponent presses aggressively. Maybe they have dangerous wingers. Maybe they dominate possession. Maybe they defend deep. Every tactical situation creates a different need. And sometimes the player selected isn't the most talented. He's simply the best fit. Let's say you're an attacking winger. Fast, creative, direct. But today's opponent attacks heavily down your side. The coach might select a less talented winger who tracks runners better. Not because he's superior, because today's problem requires defensive discipline. Many players take selection personally. Often, it's tactical. The coach isn't rejecting you, he's solving a problem. The faster you understand this, the less emotional you become and the smarter you start developing. Instead of asking, why don't coaches like me? Ask, what problem am I helping coaches solve? That question changes everything. Lesson 2, reliability beats flashiness. Football culture loves highlights. Coaches love reliability. Those are not always the same thing. Imagine 2 midfielders. One plays 3 incredible passes and loses possession 10 times. The other completes simple passes, maintains structure, protects the back line, and helps the team control matches. Guess who often starts? The second player. Because coaches hate uncertainty. The reality is that football is a game of repeated decisions, not isolated moments. One brilliant action can impress, 100 correct decisions earn trust. This is why some players dominate social media clips but struggle to earn minutes. Their highlights look elite. Their overall performance creates problems. If you want more playing time, stop obsessing over looking impressive. Start obsessing over being dependable. Can your coach predict your work rate? Can your teammates predict your positioning? Can your defenders trust your recovery runs? Can your midfield trust your movement? Reliability compounds. Eventually, it becomes impossible to ignore. Lesson 3. Coaches notice what players ignore. Most players evaluate themselves using the ball. Coaches evaluate players with and without it. Watch professional football carefully. Look at what elite players do before receiving, after passing, after losing possession, after making mistakes. The best players are constantly providing value. Many young footballers switch off whenever they don't have the ball. Coaches notice. You might remember your assist. The coach remembers your failure to track a runner. You remember your dribble. The coach remembers your poor pressing angle. You remember your goal. The coach remembers the 3 transitions you failed to defend. Football is a full match sport, not a highlight sport. The more mature your understanding becomes, the more valuable you become, because coaches love players who influence the entire game, not just isolated moments. Lesson 4, your behavior is part of your performance. Here's something many players hate hearing. Your personality affects selection, not because coaches want perfect people, because behavior affects performance. Imagine 2 equally talented players. One responds positively to feedback. The other argues. One stays engaged on the bench. The other sulks. One encourages teammates. The other blames everyone. Which player creates a better environment? Which player is easier to manage? Which player would you trust in difficult moments? Football is a team sport. Coaches aren't just selecting technical ability. They're selecting energy, attitude, influence, professionalism. And these things matter far more than players realize. Sometimes the player getting selected isn't technically superior. He's simply easier to trust every day. That matters. A lot. Lesson 5. Become undroppable. Most players try to become impressive. The smartest players try to become undroppable. There's a huge difference. An impressive player has strengths. An undroppable player removes concerns. Think about what coaches worry about. Defensive effort, discipline, positioning, decision-making, consistency, communication, work rate. Now imagine becoming elite in all those areas. Suddenly, selection becomes easy because the coach no longer sees risk. He sees certainty, and certainty wins. You don't need to be the fastest player. You don't need the best skills. You don't need the biggest reputation. You need to make the coach's job easier. That's what undroppable players do. They reduce problems. They create stability. They deliver every week. And eventually coaches stop asking, should I play him? They start asking, how can I leave him out? That's where you want to be. So what should you actually do starting today? First, after every training session, stop judging yourself by highlights. Ask, would a coach trust me after watching that session? Second, identify your reliability score. How often are you switched on defensively? How often do you make smart decisions? How often do you maintain intensity when things aren't going your way? Third, ask coaches for feedback differently. Don't ask, why am I not starting? Ask, what would make me easier to trust in matches? That question reveals far more. Fourth, focus on invisible actions, communication, recovery runs, defensive positioning, scanning, movement, pressing. These are the areas that separate selected players from overlooked players. Finally, remember this. Your goal is not proving you're talented. Your goal is proving you're useful. Talented players get attention. Useful players get minutes. The hardest truth in football is that being better isn't always enough. Because football isn't a talent contest, it's a trust contest. And trust is earned through hundreds of small actions nobody applauds. The extra sprint, the recovery run, the disciplined decision, the consistent attitude, the willingness to do what's needed instead of what's flashy. So the next time a player gets selected ahead of you, don't immediately ask, am I better than him? Ask, what does the coach trust him to do that he doesn't trust me to do yet? That question will improve your football far more than frustration ever will. Because the players who grow fastest aren't the ones who feel overlooked. They're the ones who become impossible to overlook. If you can do that, selection stops feeling like a mystery and starts becoming a consequence of who you've become as a player. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe and keep investing in the parts of football most players ignore, because that's usually where the biggest improvements are hiding.